2 weeks ago, went to an estate sale. In the corner of the shop, there was this. This is a traveler's winch, typically sold at Tractor Supply, and it is a 9,000 pound rating. So I think if you remember in a previous estate sale, we found a smaller one. It was more of an ATV type winch, but I needed something a little bigger because I'm looking for a truck for a project. People doing the estate sale didn't know anything about it. I did some tests and everything works fine, but that led me to another problem, is that it didn't come with a remote. That's what we're going to fix today. So this is a 4-pin remote port. Some of the new current ones, like I was looking at Harbor Freight and was going to get their Badlands Apex wireless remote, but it's a 5-pin. The only difference with the 5-pin is that it has a, I guess, ignition on, ignition off switch, so that when you have your car on, it will send power to it. When it's off, it'll shut the power off of this, so you're not constantly having constant power to it. But we're going to use this as a portable unit, so I'm not really worried about that. But instead of buying a wired unit to test it, I decided to make my own. So that brings us to this little box. I know it's black and it's kind of hard to see. It's something I 3D printed and made out of PETG. It's got a notch here, so it slides perfectly right into here. Take bullet connectors, and we are going to use those as the female connectors to and place them down inside, and then use that as the connection. Then we'll connect wires to here. This is the kit I got. It's pretty nice. It's got silver 10 bullet connectors and gold plated, or maybe it's fake gold, but it's gold bullet connectors, and all these here are see-through covers. And that leads us to our $20 Amazon wireless kit. So this kit has 4 wires on it. It's actually 5, but one of them is the antenna. And so each of these, you've got ground, power, and then since it's a motor, you have forward and reverse. But these are the same 4 pins as what I've got. So we've got to figure out how to hook this up. So the game plan is to take the bullet connector. Normally you would use these 2 tabs and fold it over the wire, and then that would create your connection. We're going to use the bottom wings as kind of a stop. I've created a little cavity in there, and that will be where the wings, folded out wings, will reside. And then the top prongs will fold over, and that will hold the actual wire, and then we'll do soldering to make sure we have a good connection. So now I pulled out my pine saw. We'll turn it on and take only about 8 seconds to heat up. Alright, so it's heating up. It'll get up to 350 degrees Celsius in about 8 seconds. But that's not what I want to show you first. Is make sure when you do get your pine saw to get a silicone USB-C cable, because silicone will not burn if you accidentally touch it, whereas the regular USB-C cable will melt. So just a little FYI tip there. So one of the things about I like to do is take electronics apart and appliances, and I like to salvage some of the wire, and this project is one of the reasons why I do that. It has all the wire that I need for this project, and even the right size. I have some wire, but it's on spools, but it's a bigger gauge, and it's not really meant for this project. But these are color coded. See all these different colors, and I actually should be able to match up our project. Alright, so let's strip the wire back. So we need to get that in here, and we'll just bend it over. Now they do make special pliers for this. I don't have it. We're just experimenting here, but we're going to solder it in, so that definitely will hold it. And we can actually, if you want to, make it a little thicker. You can bend your wire over. Now that might be too big. Well, that should be alright. You bend the wire over and it makes the wire thicker. That's pretty good. It does need soldering though. Usually you have both of the wings to clamp onto it. And there's special dies for it and all kinds of good stuff, but we're trying to do this with as least tools as possible, but I do need to buy it for the future. Okay, so we got our pine saw heated up. We'll get some wire going. Now we're just gonna add some wire some heat to our connection. And this will just kind of help make the strong mechanical connection a little bit stronger there. All right. All right, we'll do that to the other two and we'll bring it back. Okay, I've decided bullet connectors are a little bit too large for the wire size that we're going to be using for connections. So I'm just going to use my heat shrink spade connector kit. I really like this set. It's pretty nice. So since we're using the smaller version, smaller wires, we're going to use the pink or the red, whatever you want to call it. So this is the right connector, right pliers for this connector, and then we'll just heat shrink it. So that's pretty good there, and we'll heat shrink it. We'll do that in a minute. So I'll do that. So, and for these, we're going to do the same for the yellow and the white. We're going to do the same side. Perfect. All right, we'll get the other side taken care of now. The receiver, placing it kind of roughly in the box, and then trying to decide how much wire we're going to need. It's going to wrap around this way, and then they're both going to meet somewhere in the middle right here. So I'm going to cut that amount. Now make sure you don't cut the blue one because that's your antenna. So make sure that's out of the way. All right, ground wire's got a male on it, so we need to get the female end on here. So we just got the adapter set up in a vise here just to hold it while we put this in. So we'll just go ahead and put the different wires in the correct spot. That is ground. I got to get my book out. Let's see. I got to figure out what wires we had decided. All right, so we've got ground there, brown, blue, and red. And I think that's the colors going to the in the winch. So what we need to do is what I figured out with the wireless remote. Yellow was the out pin and white was the in pin. So blue is out. So that blue, where the blue spot is, that's where the yellow pin needs to go. So we'll do that next. So that should go right here. And if it's backwards, the yellow and the white, you can just switch it by the connector. So power is going to go here, the bottom left, and then the white will go on the opposite side of the yellow. So now we're going to get our cap, and the little tab is going to face down towards the tab on the adapter here. I think we're going to make some adjustments on this thing. So I just decided just to cut off the little tips of that was going to go down in the hole, except for the red one. That one seemed pretty clear. So that the pressure from the top will hold it in. And again, scavenging. This is from a computer desktop case. It's very good for plastic, self-threading, and it had a built-in washer to it. So I'm using that. See if it's long enough for what we're doing. There we go. That should be tight. Yeah, that's tight in there. So we'll have to make some adjustments to this cap to adjust for the solder and the wire, but everything's in there pretty tight. Alright, so the game plan now is we're going to set the box in here, we're going to turn it this way, and then the wires are going to come around and they're going to connect in the middle. Now we'll leave the antenna inside and then see how it's affected by the box. If it needs to be outside, then we will make it outside. But right now, just need to use some of these 3mm bolts, and we'll just screw it right into where we made our offsets post there. Alright, that's one. I'm not going to put it tight yet until I can get the other one in first. Alright, that's nicely screwed in there. So then what we need to do is we'll bring the wires around. So again, the black and the red were opposite. But they line up there. Kind of stick that down in there. What's next? Red is next. And then yellow. Could have made them just a tiny bit shorter. That's alright. Get all that pushed down in there. Then we've got our lid. And this is where we're going to use the little bit shorter. Same M3s, but these are the 6mm. And that should go right in there. So after looking back, this basically is the same thing as the Badlands Apex wireless remote with the case. It's just for the 4-pin setup. I guess eventually I could turn this into like a conversion adapter where we take the 4-pin setup and then have somewhere you can drop the Badlands in here if you wanted to, so that it will accept the 5-pin. I know it'll be one adapter on top of another, but I think that might be useful. Someone a little bit cleaner. So if someone wants to use the Badlands on some of these older winches here. So now let's see if it fits. So that's it. That's the install right there. And then let's power it up and we'll get it tested. So before we go test the winch outside, I did want to show you underneath the hood of how you could do this without having to make a 3D printed adapter. So like I said, you could use the wireless system without making a 3D printed adapter, and you just take off the 4 bolts or screws that are right here and 2 on that side, and this whole cover lifts up. So what you got underneath here is, here's your solenoid, and there's your wires that go to the exterior connector. I do want to let you know that when you're checking, I was checking continuity by putting a multimeter on this end and then checking it on here, but you've got to disconnect this wire because this wire, the forward and reverse of the motor are connected, I guess, through the windings of the motor, and it'll give you a false reading. So if you disconnect this wire, you can and then touch the multimeter to this connector and to the connector out here, you can figure out which pin goes with which pin, and that's kind of what I did. And then the power is pretty self-explanatory. It's the red one. You got power here, and then the ground, the black one, went here, and then it follows a connection here, and then this ground goes all the way down to the main ground at the bottom of the motor here that goes to the main motor. So that's kind of how you can decipher the different wires. So if you were doing this setup without having the 3D adapter, then you would just connect the wireless connectors directly to power here, ground somewhere. You can probably put the ground on this side, and then you just have to determine which of the yellow and the white goes on which side. And if it goes in the wrong direction when you push the button, then all you have to do is switch them. And then you just hide your wireless receiver somewhere up in here, and you're good to go. But again, I wanted to make a adapter for it. So okay, here's our setup. We've got the winch set up on the ground here. I've got a extension cord because I don't have a battery yet for it. And I think I'm gonna make this portable, but I haven't figured out how we're gonna power it. I've got the negative connected to the negative terminal on the bottom. I've got the positive connected to a black wire that's connected to the positive line on the Anderson connector, which I need to get another Anderson connector for that to make a better connection, but right now it's just kind of held by a clamp in there. And then we'll have the extension cord, or the jumper cables, going to our donor battery, which is our Forerunner. So we got that all set up. So I'm going to disengage the gears there. That should be disengaged. Now we've got to pull it out. So let's get started here and see about re-rolling it. Let's first see if it works. So push the power button on, hold it for a second, red light turns on. All right, now push it in. So to get this perfectly neat, which I am not doing, probably take 2 people, as kinked as this is, but proof of concept wise, everything works. So you can see I'm wearing gloves, and it's really needed on this because those little hairs that are broken that are just coming out of would be poking and ripping my hands up. So now let's test the key fob version of the. So I'm pretty happy with everything turned out. We won on getting a good winch, except for the line is in bad shape and we're gonna have to do something about it. Well, I'm curious, what do you do with your old line that's frayed? I don't know what it could be used for. If it's just trash or recycled. Let me know in the comments down below. But I'm happy the winch works. I'm happy our adapter works. I'm happy the wireless receiver works. Now we just got to build a temporary plate. I think I'm going to make it so you can mount it on the hitch, on the back or the front of a truck, or on the trailer. So that's probably going to be the next project. And also I need to figure out about the portable power too, so that we don't have to connect it to the vehicle battery, just in case we're on a trailer and it's off the vehicle or something like that. So it's been a fun project as always. Thanks for following us on this adventure, and we'll see you next time. And if you'd like to see more videos like the one you just saw, you can check here and here. And remember the ABCs of making. Always be creating. Till next time.